Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you're an IT pro or a systems engineer, you already know AI is completely taking over the data center. But what you might not realize is just how badly it's breaking our traditional infrastructure. So today, we're diving into part 5 of a 15-part tutorial from Virtualization Options LLC. They're a Colorado-based technology, research, education, and advisory organization. We are going to be focusing exclusively on Chapter 5 of their Modern AI Storage and Architectural Guide to unpack exactly how data delivery literally has to evolve, and I mean fundamentally rewritten the rules. For decades, right, we built storage to handle random IOPS and transactional throughput. But here's the thing, AI doesn't care about random transactions at all. It demands sustained, sequential bandwidth. It requires massive, deterministic data pipelines just to keep these exascale clusters fed. If you try to build an AI cluster with a traditional enterprise storage mindset, you're going to hit a brick wall.
Literally, it's called the storage wall. It's this phenomenon where compute performance is scaling so much faster than the ability of your storage systems to actually feed it. I mean, think about it. An 8-GPU node, packed with H100 accelerators, has an aggregate memory bandwidth exceeding 7 terabytes per second. Standard storage arrays just simply cannot keep up with that. The compute is sitting there, ready to go, but it's totally starved for data.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're covering hitting the storage wall, the GPU efficiency crisis, the new storage hierarchy, parallel files and NVMe, AI checkpoint architecture challenges, and we'll wrap up with inference and future horizons. Let's get right into it.
All right, Section 1, hitting the storage wall.
Notice the direct contrast we're looking at here. On one side, traditional enterprise storage is optimized for capacity economics and random IOPS. It operates on this assumption of temporal locality, meaning recently accessed data is probably going to be accessed again pretty soon. But with AI storage, it's a whole different ballgame. It requires sustained sequential bandwidth at massive scale, ultra-low latency, and deterministic data delivery. AI training reads these gigantic datasets sequentially using large, randomized shuffle windows, which just completely defeats traditional caches.
Moving on to Section 2, the GPU efficiency crisis.
Seriously, ask yourself this. Why are your $30,000 GPUs just sitting there idle? GPU efficiency is all about the ratio of time spent actually computing versus time spent waiting. So when your execution units stall out just because they're waiting on the next mini batch of data to arrive from storage, your massive capital expenditure is generating exactly zero value. In fact, in poorly designed AI storage environments, 30% is the typical GPU idle penalty. That is a massive amount of wasted potential and is due entirely to data starvation.
Because at the end of the day, idle GPUs are simply wasted capital. You might have a legacy storage system that looks absolutely amazing on paper. Maybe it's delivering 99% capacity efficiency. But if it's causing a 30% GPU idle time, it's a net negative for the business. GPU efficiency has to become your primary KPI for storage performance. If your GPUs are dropping below 50% utilization, honestly, a complete storage architecture redesign is mandatory at that point.
Which brings us to Section 3, the new storage hierarchy. So take a look at how this defines the data availability boundary. We're basically moving from the outside in. Starting at the bottom, you've got petabytes of slow object or tape storage. Then we move up through parallel file systems into host DRAM and finally reach the GPU HBM right at the very top. Data physically has to shift inward across these boundaries to get to the GPU faster than the compute can actually consume it. And what's really cool is that with modern tech, like GPUDirect Storage, we can actually create CPU bypass paths. That means moving data directly from NVMe right into the GPU memory, skipping the host CPU entirely to keep that pipeline flowing fast. Breaking this down a bit further, we actually see up to 7 distinct tiers in practice, but let's focus on these core 4. Tier 0 is your GPU HBM. We're talking ultra-fast, nanosecond access, but it's limited to maybe 80 to 192 gigabytes per GPU for active waits. Then Tier 1 is host DRAM for microsecond prefetch staging. Tier 2 brings in local NVMe for sub-millisecond hot dataset caching. And finally, Tier 3 is your massive network storage. The big takeaway here is that, unlike classic enterprise stacks, AI requires data to flow bidirectionally across all these tiers, totally depending on the specific phase of the workload.
Okay, Section 4, parallel files and NVMe. This right here is the critical transition zone. We're moving from standard host DRAM over to high-speed NVMe flash storage. Now, NVMe was designed from the ground up to exploit the parallelism of flash memory.
So compute local NVMe SSDs and shared NVMe over Fabrics pools act as these essential high-bandwidth buffers. They sit right in between your slow object storage and your ultra-fast host memory. This ensures your GPUs never have to wait long for the next batch of data.
But hey, it's not just about hardware. The metadata plane, which is, tracking file names, permissions, locations, that's often the Achilles heel of parallel file systems. A really vital software tactic here is to reformat your datasets from millions of tiny files into large container archives, like Web Dataset or TF Record. As Chapter 5 of the Virtualization Options tutorial points out, this is literally one of the highest ROI optimizations available. It often delivers 5 to 10 times throughput improvement, and get this, with absolutely zero hardware cost.
Next up, Section 5, AI Checkpoint Architecture Challenges.
Saving the model state, also known as checkpointing, is no joke. It can easily crash your entire network if you aren't careful. I mean, a single training run can consume hundreds of terabytes just in checkpoints alone. The solution for this is asynchronous tiered checkpointing. Basically, this means you're writing checkpoints to fast local storage immediately to minimize your GPU pause time. Then you migrate those massive files over to durable shared storage in the background, all while your training just continues uninterrupted.
Now, to manage these massive data dumps, systems architects really have to mitigate what are called write cliff events, which is where your write performance just suddenly drops off a cliff, and in-cast burst stalls, where way too many nodes are blasting data at the network at the exact same time. You handle this by utilizing TLC or MLC drives specifically for checkpoint targets, making sure your SLC buffer is sized to exceed the expected checkpoint size, and implementing checkpoint streaming across a bunch of drives simultaneously. If you don't orchestrate this whole process correctly, a checkpoint write cliff could literally extend your save duration by 10 times or more, leaving your very expensive cluster just entirely stalled out.
And finally, Section 6, Inference and Future Horizons.
So, up until now, we've talked about training, which is highly sequential and batch-oriented. But inference workloads are completely different beasts. They are characterized by their real-time nature, super stringent latency requirements, and highly dynamic data access patterns. You aren't just pushing massive sequential files anymore. You are responding instantly to user prompts, and that requires a fundamentally different architectural approach to memory and storage.
The major challenge with inference is KV cache management. As a large language model processes a prompt, the key value cache dynamically grows with every single new token. This very quickly dominates your GPU's HBM. To handle this, systems use something called page detention to virtualize the memory, along with prefix caching to reuse states for common prompts. The massive storage implication here is that as the active KV cache expands, it completely forces intelligent tiering between HBM, DRAM, and NVMe just so you can balance speed and capacity for these long context models.
Looking ahead to 2026 and beyond, this landscape is only going to get more complex. As the researchers in Chapter 5 point out, the rise of agentic AI and these ever larger foundation models are going to push these tiered architectures to their absolute limits. We're moving really rapidly toward highly optimized, disaggregated scaling. That's where compute, memory, and storage can all grow independently to match exact workload demands, so you aren't over-provisioning incredibly expensive components.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. Data gravity is only increasing, and the demands on your infrastructure are multiplying fast. So as agentic AI scales up, is your storage infrastructure actually ready to break the wall, or will your expensive GPUs just sit there and starve, waiting for data? It is definitely time to audit your data pipeline and make sure your architecture is truly AI native. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you leave today ready to optimize your systems.